well, this is just going to pay for health insurance, but I need to be saving for retirement.
Absolutely. You reminded me of a little asterisk
Yeah.
because it is deductible for federal
Hmm.
tax returns. And then it's dependent for most states, it is. For California, sadly, it's not. But there still is a tax deduction that's happening, and the money getting utilized in the future. You don't have to go ahead and pay the taxes in the future. So that's a good thing. Um, yeah. Then I think from there, you and I would agree that we would go next back to probably the 401k and go like, yeah, man, let's get this pre-tax, let's get this retirement fund set so we can set
Hmm.
it and forget it. I
Absolutely.
think the question to ask yourself, though, is look at your tax bracket to ask yourself, should I do this with Roth contributions or should I do this with pre-tax contributions? So am I paying the tax today or am I going to pay the tax in the future?
And where do you usually see that irons out? Right around like the anything north, like what's the equator there? Is that north of the 24-32 line?
I mean, that's to me where I'm looking at it going like, if you're in the 10, 12, 15, those are all Roth to me.
Yeah.
You start getting the 22 to 24 range. Yeah, maybe
Splitting
you
hairs.
probably want
Yeah.
some blend of the two.
Right.
You get above that, it probably makes sense to go pre-tax.
Absolutely.
Obviously, the highest bracket, it definitely makes sense to go
Hmm.
pre-tax.
Yeah, and I can't remember off the top of my head. It seems like they change every single year with the adjustments to inflation or different tax bills. But what is the limit at right now? Like 30,500, somewhere in there, for
Oh,
what you're
for
able
the
to.
for the
I
I
used
don't have it in front of
I
me.
used to have
Good question.
27 seared into my memory for years, so I think it's somewhere around 30,500. I say all
Uh,
that.
23,500 with a $7,500 catch up for 50 and over, so 31,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, 23
Except now there's a
acquired.
new provision for like people for I think it's 60, 61, 62. They can do this like even funkier catch up where they can increase that amount,
Super
but
super
we're
good.
not going to dive into that here.
Yeah. I bring up those limits because a lot of times, we'll say, okay, well, then what's next? And it's okay, well, maybe we can go into a Roth or, an IRA, and those are smaller numbers, but there's something out there called a backdoor Roth or this mega backdoor Roth. And,
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't realize is, our 401ks are actually consistent of two different buckets.
Yep.
Bucket that you fill up by putting in your money through payroll contributions, every 2 weeks or if you get paid monthly every month as your employee, but then your employer, where you get your match from, that bucket has the capacity to get filled up pretty significantly, right?
Yeah. And so the rule there is $70,000 total
Wow.
in the 401k if you're under the age of 50. So if you put away $23,500 and then and you get a match, right? So you're going to get some match from
Yeah.
your employer because it's everything combined, employee and employer. If there's no match for the employer, you put away the 23 and a half, you could do a mega backdoor Roth is what we call it in our little geeky industry, $46,500. So you would literally you would say, hey, once I've hit that max number for my 401k, I keep putting money away. You would actually probably even double the amount you're putting away or something to get
Mm-hmm.
you to that number. And then you either have to call the group that services the plan for you to request. They'll put the money in what's called an after-tax contribution, but you have to request what's called an in-service rollover or
Mm-hmm.
in-service conversion, Roth conversion. And they literally take it from this after-tax bucket and they convert it to your Roth bucket inside the plan. Some providers, Fidelity, for instance, a lot of the plans on Fidelity, they allow you to set it up automatically now.
That's really nice. And so you have up to that threshold, that's $70,000. So that's a nice pickup if you have the income to be able to support that. It's much bigger than just the 23.5 or 30,000 and change if you're over 50, that you may not know that you have the ability to.